It is episode 50. So what better way to kick off our 50th episode than to answer some of my most asked questions that I've gotten recently through Instagram and YouTube. The first one is actually about going to school for holistic nutrition or something in that field. If it's lucrative, is it worth spending money on and time on? And I want to share my thoughts on this topic because I get asked this question at least once a week. And I want to give some insight into this space that you might not hear anywhere else. The first thing I need to say for the individuals asking this question is any career path that you are choosing, you always want to obviously make sure that it is going to put bread on the table. But more importantly, it needs to be something that you find joy in, that you love, something that you are willing to commit to long term. So never go into any business or any education without knowing that it's something that you love, because you're going to put a lot of time and money into whatever it is, and you don't want to be hating it or being sick of it after a little bit of time. So is it worth it? Well, first of all, if you are wanting to go into something like holistic nutrition or holistic medicine in general, it needs to be something that you truly love. And I would say something that you practice yourself. What I have come to realize, and I notice this when I am seeking out help from others as well, is you want to work with someone, or someone will want to work with you if you are what they want to be. So if you, for example, are a personal trainer and you are overweight, the chance of someone wanting to work with you is going to be a lot less, unfortunately, because you are the product of your work. If you don't look a certain way, they're going to think, well, how are they going to get me to look a certain way? And the same thing goes with holistic health and medicine. If you want to go into it, just make sure that you yourself love and cherish a holistic lifestyle so that you have that to share with others, so that you are the product of your work. Okay. Now, to answer the actual question, is it worth it? To me, the answer is yes, but it's not a financial yes. So I'm going to explain what I mean. I went into this space not because I was looking at the money. I didn't even actually think about the money I could be making in this space until years into the business. And to this day, I still haven't really fully processed the financial side of it. When I went into this space, it was because I was super sick, and then I found healing naturally, and I was like, I need to share this with others because this is incredible. I had a passion for it, and to this day, it brings me so much joy. So I figured, even if I'm going to go through all the schooling and I'm going to spend all this time and energy into turning this into a business, even if I get 0 clients, I am going to still have all this knowledge for myself and for my family, and it's something that I love. So regardless of the financial reward, it's going to be worth it for me. In regards to actually making money in the holistic space, there's a few things I think everyone needs to really and truly think about and be really realistic about. Like any space, because of social media, they have become quite saturated. Now, there's certain fields that you can get into that haven't really been tapped into through social media and all that. But I would say like the common spaces that are so saturated are fitness and health and wellness, mindset and motivation, and those kinds of like coaching, like life coaching spaces, because that's what everyone has been seeking out lately. More and more people are trying to better themselves in every way, financially, with relationships, with their physical appearance, with their health. So these are naturally the spaces that are becoming very saturated. To start a business in 2024, if you are trying to promote yourself through social media, it is definitely a lot more challenging than it would have been, say, 10 years ago or 8 years ago when I started. When I first created my business, there was literally a handful of health accounts on Instagram at the time. And I regret not jumping into Instagram right away, because I could have been a lot larger than I am now. But that's okay. I still am happy I started. It took me a few years of actually running Holistic Spring before I really jumped into social media. But that is the first thing to keep in mind, is when you are looking at the physical, financial aspect, you need to keep that in mind. I hear so many people, and I'm going to debunk it. I hear so many people online financial coaches, people telling you that, you can make 6 figures a month or 4 figures a month or whatever it is by doing nothing, by creating a funnel, running things on autopilot. While this is possible, it is extremely difficult. And here is why. When you are creating content on social media, and this is all going to come back and really make a lot of sense, so just stick with me through this, okay? When you are making a lot of content on social media, it is true that the people that you are selling your content to, selling your programs, your guides to, are not necessarily your followers, but complete strangers who are saying, you have what I want, and I think you can help me. However, myself as a consumer, I can put myself in other people's shoes and really understand that the market is so saturated that within a few scrolls, you can come across 10 different videos of 10 different quote unquote holistic practitioners or health and wellness individuals promoting a completely different program for the exact same issue. If I just scroll through my reels on Instagram, I can find 10 different guides or programs on IBS within seconds, all completely claiming something different, debunking something that the other person said was legit. And it can become very overwhelming to figure out and get through all the noise and figure out what actually is going to work. And I think that this is shooting a lot of people in the foot in terms of earning money in 2024 and beyond through funnels and different things. People are getting smarter. They're getting more tight with their money. And they are saying, I'm not just going to go buy everything that just comes in front of me anymore. It's not COVID times anymore. We are really struggling financially. Everyone is. And so you're not having these people just jump into these big programs anymore. And so it is getting harder and harder to earn those dollar signs. And if people are telling you that these are limiting beliefs and, you need to let go of these and there's tons of money out there, they're not wrong. But you also do want to be realistic. As someone who's in this space and who's been in this space for a while, and I have several colleagues in this space as well, it is definitely not as easy to make money as it seems. So keep that in mind. I don't think you can run a really flourishing health and wellness business in 2024 unless you are on social media, because that is a big way to market yourself. That being said, you definitely are not going to, you might be the unicorn, but the average person is not going to make a ton of money, especially in this time like they would have maybe years ago, because again, everyone's getting tighter with their money and they're getting smarter, knowing that everyone is on social media trying to earn money, and you can't just buy the first thing that you see, because a lot of people are just trying to push their product without really any expertise behind it. So it is harder to grow. So that's to answer the first part of the question. Should you start a health and wellness business? Is it lucrative? You need to first love what you do. Don't do it if you don't, because you will get sick of it so quick. You need to understand that you do have to have social media, but you are not going to probably earn a ton of money through social media. It's just the reality of it. In terms of getting clientele, the same thing. This is a very saturated market. So there is a ton of expenses to practice, and it depends on the type of practice you're going to have. It depends what field you're going into. It depends where you're practicing from. There's a lot of different expenses based on all of these different factors. So, for example, you want to think about how much you're going to be putting into your business monthly, and I can tell you it's a lot higher than you would have ever have imagined. And are you going to get enough back? So it really depends. The amount that I spend every month to keep my business in operation is mind-blowing. It is so high, and it's definitely not something I ever anticipated. The insurance alone to be able to practice in the US and in Canada, technically internationally, to have a program which you need to have insured, to have your ebooks insured, to have all of your website hosting and all of the different plugins and softwares that you need to operate your forms, your business, your accounting, your email and newsletters and automations and everything else is so high. Your fees to be a practitioner, you have to pay membership fees, are high. Your continuing education fees are high. All of the actual physical product you need. If you have a physical office like myself, the inventory and everything else is super high. The fees that you're going to have to pay for whatever it is that you might need, laptops, webcams, cell phones. I mean, these are things that a lot of people already have, but when you are a practitioner, if you start to do things on a bigger scale, you need to upgrade everything. And so little by little, you start to see that these monthly expenses go from being maybe a couple hundred to thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars every month. And with inflation, and also heads up, most of the things that you pay for month to month as a practitioner are in USD. So with the insane exchange rate on the Canadian dollar, I'm talking about my Canadian perspective, by the way. So with all of these things, you are paying so much that you need to be making a good amount of money to just cover your month to month expenses. And I personally know several practitioners in Canada and even in parts of the US that are really good colleagues of mine. I went to school with them and we all kind of graduated at the same time, that are negative every month. They have a lot of clients, they're really hustling hard, they're doing their best, and they are still negative every month. So you have to keep all of that in mind. I am a very frugal person, so I will not put money into anything for the business if it is not absolutely necessary. And to explain, I had a cell phone that it was an 11-year-old cell phone, and I had it for myself. It was 7.5 years that I've had it. I bought it at the start of my business. And when I bought it, it was used and refurbished and unlocked, and it was already like 4 years old at that point. It was cost me like $250, and I had it up until this past May, where I finally got a new phone, but it was split in half. The screen was so shattered, I couldn't even take off my screen protector. There was like 60 megabytes of storage on it, so I kept running out of storage. I couldn't have any apps on my phone. It was wild, and I still operated my whole online business with it. All my social media, all my YouTube, everything. The camera was horrible, and I just did it. And same with my laptop. Like, it's literally a dinosaur. And I was like, I'm not upgrading until I absolutely have to, because I just didn't want the cost of my business to get so out of control. So I'm also sharing this information with someone who is not a liberal spender when it comes to the business. And I'm telling you, it is still extremely expensive to operate. So in terms of actually earning money, what I find has really made me resentful a little bit of my business. And I'm still so blessed and I'm still so grateful for it. But something that has really changed my opinions on it is that people want a lot from you for very little. And someone, when you're starting out in the space and you don't have any experience yet, you're going to keep your pricing really low. So it's going to seem a lot more fair to people at the start. And you probably won't have a lot of complaints about your pricing in the beginning. But as you build your expertise and you take more programs, more courses, you have more clients, more testimonials, your proof of the way that you practice works, and you start to increase your pricing to reflect your skills and the results that you can give others, that's where you will start to get a lot of complaints or people trying to push your limits, not pay you, things like that. And it can become very exhausting to always have to fight and defend your pricing. Now, again, you'll hear people say that's another limiting belief. There's always someone out there who's willing to pay, and that is, again, true. However, the reality is you are going to come across more individuals who don't have money and who are not wanting and willing to pay you for your services in an amount that's fair compared to people who have a lot of money and are going to just pay and not question or try to get more out of you than what they have paid for. So that is a huge thing to think about. And it's obviously the same for any practice and any business that you would operate. But what I find is when it comes to holistic health, because it is such an intricate and in-depth type of practice, you're not looking at someone and saying, oh, here's a one-size-fits-all protocol. You're not looking at someone and giving them 10 minutes of your time and then throwing a protocol at them. At least you shouldn't be. Holistically, you need to be spending at least 2 hours per person just analyzing and assessing the protocols, doing the research, making sure what you are creating for them is working on the entire body, mind, and spirit connection, and that you are getting to the true root of their issues. And then you're spending time on the consult itself and then any support afterwards. And so I find that in this specific space, people are not used to having that much time and attention. And so when you charge for it, it's really confusing to them why they have to pay so much. And they're just used to going to a doctor's office for 5 seconds and getting a pill. And so they're like, what do you mean it takes you 3 to 4 hours of time? They think that you're just price gouging and that it's just, ridiculous. So I find that in this space, it is a little bit more that you're going to come across people who are not wanting to pay or who are, not supportive of your pricing model. And then it can get to a point where you're like, I'm not paying my bills. I'm not paying my month to month and making ends meet, but I'm working like crazy. And that was honestly me for the majority of my practice, which has been almost over 8 years now. So I have increased my pricing, but naturally a lot of clientele drops off from that because they don't understand the expertise that I bring to the table. They don't understand, why the pricing is where it's at. But unfortunately, as a business owner, when you are operating in 2024 with inflation through the roof, everything in USD as a Canadian, it just hits hard. And there was times where I was negative and, in certain months, and I was literally like, I need to shut down. Like, I can't continue to put money out to help people. Like, it's not it. I have, 4 kids to feed and we have a house to take care of. Like, this is not okay. Thankfully, I'm writing it out because I love it, but we have had months that were very, very rough, and more than a couple of them. So long story short, I think if you are to go into this business, you want to be going into it. First of all, you have to love it because you need to have that absolute love to be able to get you through the tough times. You need to be really realistic on the month-to-month expenses because they are high. And you can't get around it. You have to pay your insurance. You have to pay your fees, your memberships, all of the, again, website fees and all the things that come with it, which is thousands and thousands of dollars a month. At least for me, it is. And then you want to look at who's in your area that's practicing. Where are you going to be practicing from? How saturated is the market in your area? You need to price, look around at different practitioners, like something similar to what you'll be doing, and look at what they're charging and think like, if I work with X amount of clients a day or a month, am I going to be covering everything and then some? And that's really where the math needs to come in. As far as earning money through social media, it's not how it is. So I know a lot of people think that you just make all this money and you're loaded, and it's not true. I personally don't make any money through social media, and I don't really get many, sales or anything through social media. Most of it would come either directly through my website, a little bit through YouTube clicks, and then clients, people that have been knowing me for a long time or that have, wanted to work with me. But aside from that, Instagram, social media, TikTok doesn't make you anything. You don't get paid brand deals. Someone might, but it's very hard to. You don't get all these perks that it might seem like you might be getting online. So I hope that answers the question. I want to give that some good time because, wow, that was like a 17-minute response. I didn't even realize. But anyway, let's just jump to the next question. And that is on free therapies that you can do to heal the body that do not cost money. And I loved this question because in 2024, again, everyone's broke. We're broke. I'm like, everybody's struggling. Like, you need to just be able to do some things for your health that don't cost. So here are my top things. Number 1 is going to be what we call forest bathing. This sounds ridiculous. It sounds hippie, I know, but it's actually so good for you. So what I recommend doing, if there's a forest near you, if not, go into a field, go to a waterfall, which is even better. There's a lot of negative ions that come off of waterfalls. So go somewhere near you in nature, ideally a forest because of all the oxygen, and literally inhale so deeply. And take those deep, big breaths, hold those breaths, exhale slowly for as long as you can, walk through nature, touch the trees. This is very grounding. The energy transfer from the tree to the body is so incredible. It's so calming for the nervous system. It's a physical energy. It's not a woohoo energy. There's literally these different electrical charges that we have, that nature, that plants and trees and things have, that are very regulating to our system. So forest bathing is something that I highly recommend, and it will feel like absolutely nothing is happening until you do it consistently. And one day you're going to feel so much calmer and healthier, and it's going to blow your mind. And it was like that for me, where I was just like rush, and living in the city, never taking time to go into a forest or relax because I was so busy. And I just felt horrible. And when I started going regularly hiking near my house, it just was a game changer. Not to mention, if you're walking through a forest, you're getting exercise as well, which is perfect. The next thing is going to be sun exposure. Again, everyone is so nervous about getting sun on their skin because of either skin cancer or aging, especially again in 2024. Everyone's so obsessed with, we don't want wrinkles, we don't want sunspots, we want to look perfect, which there's nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, humans have been exposed to sunshine throughout the entire human existence. And it's only until recently people started wearing sunscreen. I'm not saying to lay out and bake in the sun in a bikini for hours and hours and hours on end, but we do need sun directly on our skin, period. If you are someone that does burn, you don't burn right away. Usually you can have sun exposure for even a few minutes before you have to worry about getting a sunburn. So even go before you apply your sunscreen, expose your body as much of it as you can to sun. And when you feel like it's about time to start slathering it on before you burn, then go ahead and put the sunscreen on. What I do is I will put a little bit of like a very light sunscreen on my face, just because my body tans so wildly fast. My face will go like 100 shades darker in the summer, and it just gets so hard to like match. Not that I wear makeup often or anything, but it just gets really hard to like match anything to it. So, and my face tans darker and quicker than the rest of my body. So then I look like I have like a lighter neck and then a dark face. So for me personally, I like to just wear a little bit of sunscreen. I'll use like the natural solar day cream from Body Deli or something like that. Just a very, very mild coverage. And then the rest of my body, I never put a drop of sunscreen on, and I go and tan and get that sun exposure, because that vitamin D is going to be so healing, but also the light therapy from the sun is so healing for our body and our nervous system and just immune system. It's just something that everyone needs daily. The next thing would also be to consider getting light therapy, especially in the winter. You can get a light box. It imitates the sunlight, so it gives you similar benefits for your circadian rhythm, for the immune system, especially when it's dark and gloomy outside. Another thing that I recommend doing that is free is walking. This is so underrated. We are a sedentary group of people. At least in North America, we're sitting at desks, we're sitting in our cars in traffic, we're sitting all the time in front of a TV, gaming, on social media. We're sitting all the time. And this takes years and years and years off our life. Studies have proven every year that you sit, I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, I'm too tired for that, but please look into it. Every year that you sit, you're losing an X amount of time off your life. It increases your risk of heart disease, of obesity, of diabetes, of cholesterol, and so much more, including even brain issues like Alzheimer's and dementia. So movement is essential. What's beautiful about walking is it gets the lymphatic system flowing, it gets the blood flowing, and it's very low impact. So if you don't want to work out in a gym, you don't have money for a gym, you can't lift any heavy weights, you're hurting, your body's in pain, anything at all, walking is so gentle that you can do it for even a few minutes, and it's going to give you so many benefits. So that is definitely something I'm like, do every day. Just get up. If you're sitting down for too long, get up and go for a walk. Even if it's literally around your property, your house, up and down your stairs, just move your body. Those are my favorite things to do if you don't have money for healing. Through supplements and actually spending money on acupuncture and different things. Although those are amazing, if you can't afford it, there's still a lot of free things to do. Something else that I think is overlooked all the time is fasting. Fasting has been used again since the beginning of human existence. It is even talked about whether or not you believe in the Bible. For those who do, it's in the Bible all the time, the importance of fasting. Jesus fasted all the time, and so many other people did as well. And you cannot deny the healing benefits of fasting. They've been proven. When you are not putting food into your body all the time, the body can actually detoxify, heal, and repair tissues. This is how you can prevent toxicity within the cells. It's how you can prevent mutations within the cells, which can lead to cancer. And we are a society, again, at least in North America, that is used to eating around the clock and too much. We're always putting food into the body, and it's a big stressor. So you can do, especially if you're not having too many blood sugar issues, you can go and do a good 24-hour fast a couple times a month on just water and broth, or like a good 16-hour fast through the night and evening. But fasting is something that the more you can do, the healthier it is for you. Don't fast right in the morning for women, unless you're just doing like a 24-hour fast here and there, that's okay. But daily, I would say don't fast in the morning, but fast evening and night. So those are my suggestions for that question. Now, something that a bunch of people have been wanting to know has been about water and water filters. So I have some recommendations. To be honest, So I'll explain. People are asking, what water filters do we need? How do we get clean water? Like, what am I recommending? So for me, I've always been a Berkey lover. In the US, they've switched. I think it's called Boro, BOR, maybe OUX or something like that. I love Berkey for myself. They have shown to filter so many different contaminants. However, what I don't love about Berkey is that it's like a countertop filter, so it doesn't filter your whole house, and it is very tedious for me when you have a family of 6 and we're all water guzzlers. We're filling up our Berkey all the time, so that gets tedious. So I don't love that. And so the best filter you could get in terms of cleaning toxins out is a whole house filter, or like an under the sink filter. It's called reverse osmosis. Most people have probably heard of it. It is the best thing that you could do for purifying the water because it really cleans everything out. Now, if you are nervous about it pulling out minerals and things as well, you can always re-add, minerals to your glass of water. If you you can get mineral tablets, you can take a supplement. You don't have to necessarily remineralize every time you drink water. But if you are nervous about not getting as many minerals, you can add things back into the water. But what I love about reverse osmosis is that it does pull everything out. It purifies the water and is the cleanest source. If you're looking for like an under the sink, something that you don't have to fill up all the time, that's what I would be recommending. And it is quite affordable because once it's there, it's there. So unless you're planning to move, it's there. It's going to be there forever. You just change the filters once in a while. They really last a long time. In terms of like water bottles, I don't really have one. Everyone's asking me about my opinion on a filtered water bottle. I haven't come across one that I'm like is amazing. I love that Berkey has the filter straw. So like you suck the water up and it forces it through the filter. But the bottle is plastic and I hate that personally. Even if it says BPA free, anything in plastic to me is a no. So until Berkey comes out with, or Boro, whichever they're called, until they come out with a glass filtering water bottle, I won't be recommending theirs. If you guys have recommendations, let me know. I have been searching and there's always new companies that are coming on the market that are showing that they're like great filters. And I'll always share something on social media if I come across something, but I'm always have to look deeper into like what ingredients are in the little filter pellets that they have, or what is the filter made of? Because that can contain chemicals too. So there's always so many questions to ask and so much to research before I can confidently recommend a product. So when I do recommend something, just know I've done all of my due diligence with the product. And if I ever do come across something, I will absolutely share it. There's currently a water brand I'm looking into, but I don't want to share it right now until I get some answers back from them. But they have a really cool bathtub filter. They have an awesome water filter, like for bottles, like portable. So I'll let you guys know on my Instagram and my stories once I get more insight from this company. So I hope that was helpful and insightful. And I know it can be so overwhelming, again, to figure out what's good and what's not. I always say do your own research. You're your best advocate. Reach out to companies. There's no harm in saying, hey, send me the proof that your water filters, that your filter filters all of these contaminants. What ingredients are in your filters? What are you guys using? Like, ask the questions. There's no harm in that. And worst thing is you get an answer you don't like and you just move on. So best case, you get answers that you love and now you have an awesome product to use. So always do your own research. The last question I want to answer today is about essential oils and aromatherapy. And how do you know if essential oils are pure? Is aromatherapy really all it's made out to be? So let's answer this one quickly. I'm not feeling super great. My kids were sick today, so I think I'm coming down with something, and I definitely am going to be wrapping this up soon. So first of all, I love aromatherapy. It's something that I've used way before I even started taking supplements and being healthy in my diet, because it was something that I just love the smell of it. And I've always found it made me feel better when I was using certain oils. So for me, it's something I still use. How do we know if something's pure? Do your research. That's always where it comes down to. Something that you have to be careful with is every company is always going to claim that their product is the best because of X, Y, and Z. Obviously, they want to sell their product. So it's up to you to ask the right questions, to go dig deeper, and to figure out what is actually happening behind the scenes to make the product. And this is the same for supplements. For everything else, you want to say, with supplements, are there heavy metals? Is there third-party testing? Like, you need to ask those questions. So the same should be with essential oils. If you are looking at a brand and you're not sure if they're super pure, you want to ask them, do you have third-party testing? Where are your purity reports? How are you extracting the oils? Are there any chemicals being added into the oils during the extraction process, or this, that, and the next? So you can go reach out to companies and say, I am not sold yet that your oils are super pure. Can you tell me more? Can you share more information? And they will provide you with information. So it's always up to you to do your due diligence. The 2 oil companies that I used personally, just based on the research that I have done, and this is not to promote these 2 companies in any way. I don't have any affiliations with them except for the fact that I just use them myself and in my home. It would be Pranarom. I really like the way that they, produce their essential oils, and I like where they're sourcing them from. And the other company would be Young Living. I never, really heavily promoted Young Living for financial, kickback or anything. It was just something that a friend of mine was a part of the company, and I was like, I like these oils and their blends, and I looked into it, and I liked the way that they, produce their oils, where their farms were, how they grew the crops, and how they extracted the oils. So it's something that I kind of used and just kept using up until this day. Those are the 2 companies that I use. And because I get enough of the products that I need from them, haven't really looked into other companies. I'm sure there are more on the market that have really great oils. However, there are a lot of companies that also claim that they have pure essential oils when they don't, when they're mixed in with other toxic oils, when they overheat the oils through the extraction process and actually cause carcinogens to form. Some companies add fragrances to their oils, like fake fragrances. So you do want to be careful with what you are using. If you are using it for aromatherapy and there is chemicals in it, it would be the same as sniffing like a Febreze or Airwicks and things like that. So you do want to be really careful with what you're using. And again, that's where coming in and doing your own research is so important. I mostly use Pranarom now for my oils. And in terms of like how we use it and is it worth it, to me, the answer is yes. You don't need to have every oil in the market, but the common ones that are really calming and invigorating are the ones that I like to have. And I say everyone should kind of start off with. So for example, lavender is something that we will diffuse quite frequently at night. We know it's been proven through studies that it does have a very calming effect. So it's something beautiful that you can diffuse in your home. Your home's going to smell great and everyone will feel naturally more relaxed. I love having the eucalyptus and the peppermints on hand when we're sick and congested. Again, you can diffuse them or rub them between your palms and breathe them in, and it does help to open the airways. You can also mix them with like a coconut oil and rub them on the chest and back as like a vapor rub. So I like doing things like that. I really like having some anti-inflammatory oils like helichrysum for any injuries, as they're really anti-inflammatory, especially if you have like a joint pain or again, any kind of injuries or trauma to the body. So there's, a lot of different oils that you can use for so many different benefits. I think that if you're using them strictly for relaxation, I would probably say lavender would be at my top personally. I just love how calming it is personally, and it just smells beautiful. I never apply lavender topically or directly to my skin because having skin issues in the past, it was very irritating to me and would always make me flare. So it's something that I only diffuse or I'll spray on like indirectly, like on our sheets and things like that for the aromatherapy without having it touch my skin and absorb into my skin. So I love aromatherapy. It can get expensive. Oils are not always cheap. And if they are super cheap, usually it's a red flag because it does cost quite a bit to produce and manufacture the oils. So do keep that in mind. I do think some companies do price gouge and overcharge. I do think even, I'm going to say this, certain Young Living oils are way more expensive than they need to be, but it is an MLM business and they do have to pay a commission to their partners or the people that are selling the oil. So naturally, anytime you're purchasing from an MLM, you're going to spend a lot more. I personally just love some of the Young Living blends, and that's why I purchase from them because it makes it easier. They smell so beautiful, and I don't have to then mix things myself. But again, you don't have to purchase through them. There's so many great brands that you can look into. Definitely do your research and find something that's within your budget. But if they are super cheap, there's usually other chemicals or added oils and stuff to it, even if they're not listed. So again, keep that in mind. And the other thing that I found has been so great for aromatherapy has been to completely ditch and switch all of the previous like detergents and things that were toxic smelling in our home. You don't want to not have any smell in the home because, you know, it might not smell great, especially when you got little kids running around. So that's where I'm like, I'm not going to burn scented candles like I used to. I used to use those like crazy. I'm not going to have my whole home sprayed with Febreze and my car with all of these car scents and things like that. I'm going to use essential oils. And so even if you're not using it for quote unquote relaxation, if you're just diffusing them in your home or spraying them on your rugs and in your car for smelling good and putting it on your body as a natural perfume so you don't have to buy toxic perfume or cologne, that is such a great alternative. And that's what I really love the oils for, is that they are nature's fragrance for us, and we can smell beautiful. Our homes can smell lovely without having any chemicals. So that's probably the biggest use for us. One of my favorite uses for my kids for essential oils is that they always want to have like fresh breath. And they're always like, can we buy gum? And I don't want them having a lot of xylitol, which is in most gum. So I get little bottles, like little portable spray bottles, and I fill it up with some water, a few drops of peppermint essential oil, and a couple drops of liquid stevia. And then I shake it up and they just spray it in their mouth like an oral spray. And it smells so lovely. It tastes so great. And then they get to feel like, oh, we have fresh breath, but we don't need gum for it. So they feel so special getting to carry that around. So that's some of the things that we like to use oils for. And we will add sometimes like blue tansy or chamomile to our bath water for, anti-inflammatory support and skin health. And I like to make like an anti-inflammatory serum that I've shared on YouTube before with some of my favorite essential oils as well. So many benefits and uses. You could even do like grapefruit and lemon essential oil if they're food grade in some water and mint, and have like a beautiful tasting water that is also great for the liver. So again, there's so many uses and benefits. Just make sure you're using a high quality company that you trust. Thank you guys so much for listening and for submitting all of your questions. And I'm so happy that you guys are loving the podcast so far. Now that we are on episode 50, I would love to please ask you guys if you'd be willing to rate the podcast so it can help reach more ears and help us grow. And the more that we grow, the more I can put out content. So I would be so grateful if you would take a few seconds, whether you're listening on Spotify, on Apple, on Spreaker, to just rate the podcast. So again, the more ratings that we have, the more it will be seen or heard by others. I hope you guys have a beautiful day or night, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.